Good Erev Shabbos. This Shabbos is also called Shabbos Chazon, named after the Torah that we read before Tisha B'Av. And we also begin the Sefer of Devarim, Deuteronomy. So it's not only Parshas Devarim this week, it's the beginning of Sefer Devarim, the reading of Sefer Devarim, which will carry us to the end of this year, this Jewish year of 5781, Tavshin Pei Aleph, and into the upcoming year of Simchas Torah, when we will conclude Devarim. So I just want to highlight this beginning of Devarim. Moshe is recounting much of the experiences that the Jewish people had in the desert as they traveled from the land of Egypt to the land of Israel. And he specifically recounts their experiences at Mount Sinai. And he says in the pasuk this week, which we read this week, after the giving of the Torah, how they transitioned away from Mount Sinai. It says, Hashem Elokeinu dibra aleinu b'chorev le'mor. Hashem, our God, spoke to us in Chorev, saying, Rav l'chem sheves b'har hazeh. It's enough. It's enough that you're here at this mountain. Panu asulachem. It's time to get moving and travel. So one can ask, and that is, the Jewish people were at Mount Sinai. The Jewish people were at Mount Sinai. For all intents and purposes, this was the most spiritual experience that humanity has ever experienced, the divine revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, the Almighty himself, revealing himself to the Jewish people. And they were just like soaking that all in. So what's the rush? Rav l'chem shabbos b'har hazeh. It's enough. Get moving. Take another day, take another 2-3 days, maybe take an extra week, just to like soak it all in, soak in the experience. What was the rush? All of a sudden, Rav l'chem shabbos b'har hazeh. So I think it's teaching us a great lesson. And the great lesson is there's a time for studying, there's a time for reflection, there's a time for introspection, there's a time to contemplate, but then there's a time for doing. If we're always going to be in the mode of planning and studying and reflecting and introspecting, contemplating, and we're never going to get to action, that is a missed opportunity. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us this lesson in Mount Sinai. Yes, Har Sinai, Mount Sinai was an unbelievable, unparalleled experience that humanity never experienced before, and humanity will never experience again. This was the divine revelation, completely unparalleled, that man could ever experience in this world. But we're supposed to do something with that. We're just supposed to have all that inspiration bottled up at Mount Sinai. Now it's time to move on and implement these teachings in other places and take the inspiration and take all the teachings and take all the education that you got at Mount Sinai and live that life. So that's such an important lesson for us, because many times we're contemplating, many times we're reflecting, many times we're introspecting, and all that is amazing and wonderful and good. But then there comes a time that we have to pull the trigger. We have to pull the trigger. Now it's a time for action. Rav l'chem shabbos b'har hazeh. It's enough just to sit here. It's a time for action. So as we go into Tisha B'Av, tomorrow night I just want to tie this in one small way. That is, we know that it's our avodas hayom, our service of the day, to improve our bein adam l'chavero, improve our interpersonal relationships. So sometimes we've reflected to do this, or we've contemplated to do that, and we've introspected for this. Now it's a time for action. If that action means building a bridge with somebody that the relationship was strained for in the past, do that. If the action is, reconciling or stopping to speak ill about somebody, now's the time to start doing that. Pnu asulachem. So as we go into Tisha B'Av and Shabbos, let's reflect what it means to say it's enough just to stay at the mountain, and now is a time for doing. I wish you all good Erev Shabbos and a meaningful Tisha B'Av.